Pollination. We're about to take it back.
Okay. Talking Loud podcast. It's always Diesel Dog, and you guys know we're back for another episode. We got a great one planned for you guys today. We got an awesome breeder, an awesome guy, a patient guy, a great guy. But I stress on that word patient because we had a few technical difficulties off here, but we got those ironed out. But a lot of you guys would know him for that. I'm talking the 9-pound hammer because we got on the show today, Jinxproof Genetics. How's it going, man? What's up?
Good, brother. How's it going?
Man, I'm good, bro. I'm good. We're awesome. We're just chilling, hanging out. I actually, forgot to ask you off air if you can just tilt your phone this way. Like, can you tilt it that way? Is that possible? So when you flip into this phone and show people stuff, I forgot.
This way?
Just sideways.
That way?
Sideways, like all the way landscape. Can it do that? If it can, it's all good. We can pop it back up. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about
it. I've actually got it. I've got it taped to this thing, so okay, I could, but it's gonna be a pain in the ass.
I got you, man. It's all good. It's all good. We got multiple screens that we usually work through and stuff like that. But fuck that, man. Thanks for taking the time, man. How's everything going, man? I really appreciate you hanging out with us, bro.
Oh, no problem, man. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's going pretty good.
Hell yeah, man. Most definitely. So I just want to take a moment to shout out everyone in the chat right now. We got over 100 people already. We just tuned in. We got over 150 people tapped in. So you guys definitely hit that like. We got a great show planned for you guys. And I got to shout out the ICANN fam. The VIP Bean Club is popping. You guys know what's up. Packages have gone out. Mailboxes are burning down. So you guys definitely join up and show some love. As I always say, ICANN is not monetized. So you guys' support really helps us to go a very, very long way, man. But of course, today we're hanging out with Jinxproof Genetics, and a lot of you guys know him for that fire, that dank. I'm talking the 9-pound hammer, man. So today we're gonna break all that stuff down. But I just want to find out a little bit about your journey, man. So before we get into all that crazy stuff, just tell us a little bit about how you actually got into growing like in the first place, man.
Well, I started when I was about 20. I'm 55 now, so it's been a minute. I've been at it a minute.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was growing, and back in the day, like, you never admitted to somebody that you were growing, like even your best friends. You know what I mean? Because it was trouble back then. It wasn't like now. Like, you got in trouble, yo. So I finally got him to admit it, and wanted to do it myself. So he agreed to show me if I gave him half my first crop. But back then wasn't a bad deal because how else you get, there was no YouTube, wasn't no Google, and nobody else would even admit that they grew weed, including me. A lot of my friends knew I did, but I still didn't admit it because it was just, why would you? It was big trouble. So I started with that guy. It was a super basic program. He just had like 2 bottles of, A and B. And then when you switch the lights, you switch to A and B bloom, and like the big additive back then was Super Thrive. It wasn't like now where you can walk in the store and like you don't even know what to do because there's 85 bottles by one company. So it started pretty basic, which was probably a good thing, you know what I mean? So just kind of kept going from there. As things got a little freer, I met some other people and we traded knowledge and info and stuff. Cause I'm not the kind of guy that's going to sit down and like read a big ass book and retain any of it. Like I did terrible in school and stuff like that. So it wasn't really a good access point for me, so just kind of kept with it and,
so is it like because of like the cost or maybe just the accessibility of getting that far yourself? You're like, screw all this, man. I'm just going to grow it myself. Is that, that was the biggest factor?
Yeah, pretty much. And, back in the day, you could make a little money at it too. I I just grew like in basements. It wasn't like I had some major underground op going where I was getting rich or nothing, but it allowed me to pursue some other interests. Like I was a tattooist for 20 years and, in bands, and just, allowed me to be more independent
That is pretty dope.
as opposed to just going to work every day, all day, for not great pay and stuff like that. So it was a nice way to supplement my income, I guess you could say.
I got you, man. And as you say that, you said you did tattooing for a bit. When I was like, doing my research and stuff, I actually seen an Instagram tattoo page, I think it was, or was it a website or something? And it was literally Jinxproof. And it was somehow I thought it was connected to you, but I wasn't absolutely sure. Like, is it?
No, there's a studio in Philadelphia. I've been there.
Okay,
it's called Jinxproof Tattoo.
I think that's what it is.
It has nothing to do with me. I've been there, and I've hung out in Baltimore because my buddy worked at Little Vinny's, which is also a pretty famous tattoo shop. So we'd go out there and work for a little bit. But the connection is when I was a tattooist. Like when you walk into a tattoo shop and you see all those designs on the wall, those are called flash. Okay. And most, like, I encourage people not to get those because there might be 800 people with that same tattoo. Like me personally, my tattoos were all drawn by the tattooist.
I like that.
I did a lot of, I love the old school traditional work. And one of the traditional flash pieces that I used to always like, it was everything that might be a jinx, like a black cat, a broken mirror, the number 13, and all these things would be put together like in a circle, and then it would have a ribbon wrapped around it that said Jinxproof. And it was a traditional tattoo, it was a tattoo that people got. So I thought that sounds cool, Jinxproof. So it was time to, when things started becoming legal in social media, people weren't using their names. Like I used to work with Subcool. Obviously, his name ain't Subcool. What I mean? So when it was time for me to pick a pseudo name, I went with Jinxproof just because I always thought that sounded so cool. And it's part of my history too with the tattooing and all that stuff too. So
I like that, man. That is actually pretty dope. And that's actually something that I did want to ask, like, how did like the name come about? What was the inspiration behind it? Mm-hmm. And I guess that sort of explains it all. That's pretty interesting.
That wraps it up. Yeah.
You're always a guy that just liked those sort of jinxy stuff. And like, no, that number 13 one really got me, bro. I'm like, what? Number 13? That's like the worst number out there, isn't
it? Well, and then a huge part of my signature is these glasses. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but there's no lens in these glasses. And when I first
not noticed that.
No, there never has been.
Even when I met you, like I got it up on screen now when we met out at one of these events, man, and you got the glasses on. I did not know that they had
no lens. And that was my way of when I first started with the social media, I would go on these shows and a lot of people would have glasses on, and I used to make fun of Subcool. Are you familiar with Sub?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Sub. His name is dropped in the chat so many times already, man.
Well, I started with Sub, and a lot of people would wear these glasses because they would say, "Oh, eye recognition," and like Sub's glasses were these teeny little things that barely covered his eyes. Like, bro, they can see your whole face, So this was kind of my way. This was my way of being a smart ass, told all that, and it just kind of became my thing. You know what I mean? Like, so whenever I go to the show, usually they're up on my hat, but if I'm doing pictures or shit like that, I'll throw them on, and it's just a silly thing. I'm a big jokester and smart ass, so it was just kind of my way of being a smart ass, and it just kind of stuck and became part of my image. So
I like that, man. You're such a cool cat, man, and I'm honestly like really honored to have you on the show and chill out. I don't know if you remember, but like, you just to what you're saying about you just being such a goofball and stuff like that. When we were out of this show that I just was showing you guys, you literally showed me a little toilet. I don't know if you remember, right? It was a little small toilet. This guy took me to the toilet, guys, right? And he opened that lid. And straight out of that lid into my face came something that was like, I don't know what it was.
It was water. It was water.
I was like, maybe it's pee. I don't know. Hopefully it ain't.
The shows can get a little stressful, so you got to have a little fun. One of my favorite shows was we actually did a show on April Fool's Day. It just happened to be April Fool's Day. And the guy you showed me in the picture with there, Mary Jack, the guy in the pink sweater, he's like my right-hand man. One of my best friends we were having fun all day because it happened to be that's Jack right there in the pink. It happened to be April Fool's Day on the show. So I kept telling when girls would come up to the booth, I would look at them and I'd say, hey, I don't want to freak you out, but there's a big ass spider on your shoulder. You know how girls are with spider. The very first girl I said it to took a step back and started to pull her shirt up. Like she's gonna yank her shirt off, you know what I mean?
Straight
Luckily,
up,
she didn't get too far before I was like, April Fools, April Fools. And then Mary Jack was telling dudes, like, hey, man, go ask Jinxproof how his mom's dancing lessons are going. It's really funny. So these dudes would come up and they'd be like, how's your mom's dancing lessons going? Like, totally serious. I just look at like, bro, my mom only has one leg. Then they'd kind of look at me like, that's the kind of shit to you that's funny, you know. But then, of course, we'd be like, April Fools, you know.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff to make you feel like immediately sick. You feel ill, and you're like, man, why did I do that? April Fools, oh, thank goodness.
Well, one dude, good-sized man, as soon as I said that, he started walking around the booth and was heading for Mary Jack.
Yeah.
He didn't think it was, he thought I hadn't said April Fool's yet. So he was getting ready to yank Mary Jack out of the booth and let him have it, you know. I was like, April Fool's, bro. Like,
yeah, he was ready to circle back real quick. He wasn't playing, man.
No, but we had some pretty good fun with it. I mean, for me, like, it's a huge part of my personality. Every day is April Fool's Day for me. Like, ask my wife, I'm constantly clowning on her and doing stuff to her, and you know, it's just a huge part of who me and my posse are, how we've always grown up, and you know. So
yeah, that's
I do a lot of it. I do a lot of it on Instagram with Miss Rose.
Like, that's true though. But one thing you do on Instagram is always give a lot of those positive affirmations and positive vibes, man. And you know, always. Absolutely. So I just want to shout out David Dawson. He's actually an ICANN VIP Bean Club member supporting on Patreon. He actually says, would like to thank you, Jinxproof, for taking that time to give everyone some positive vibes and messages every single day. You know, he's a fan. Yep. He's so thankful for the Mango Madness that he lucked up and got, and he definitely appreciates you. So he just wants to say thanks.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's I do get a lot of comments about that, especially at shows, and some people it's really important to them and has even helped some people. But it also does it for me too. You know, to get up every day and put out a positive affirmation, you know, it sticks in my brain too. And it's you know, it's kind of changed who I am and how I look at life. And, you know, like before my Instagram account got canceled, you know, I had 130,000 followers. Wow. And some days I'd be having a tough day and kind of acting like a bitch or, you know, then it would dawn on me like, bro, you get up every day and tell 130,000 people to be positive, and here you are acting like a bitch, you know. So that it would instantly put me in check, and then I kind of, you know, regather and come at it through some positivity. But yeah, since the first time I ever did one, I've never not done one. The few times I couldn't, a lot of people know I had brain surgery and stuff like that. Like Miss Rose got on there and did it for me. One time my little brother even did it for me because I was like, it's important to me, like, to not let a day go by without this happening, you know. Yeah. So it's been a cool thing, and you know, a lot of people have embraced it, and you know.
Big facts. Yeah. So shout out to you on that, man, and big ups to David Dawson on that, because you know he just wanted to show some love, and you know,
Thanks, David.
You know, like I said, man, we out here just trying to support each other and help each other grow. And that's what it's all about. What I actually wanted to ask you, man, you know, was how has that whole experience been, you know, getting to where you are then, you know, where you first started off, you were growing and there was not much information at all about growing, you know, like you're doing everything undercover, you know, to being able to be known as one of those well-known breeders that created, you know, that fabulous strain that everyone knows. Like so many people have dropped it in the chat saying they're growing it, man. Honestly, I'm super surprised at how many people are growing this right now at this very moment in this chat. And we got over 220 people tuned in. So you guys hit that like. But the question is, how have you felt, you know, like how has that whole experience been, you know, just changing from back then to now?
It's been quite a ride. It was
wow, I can imagine, bro.
It was strange at first because, like I said, like I was never a social media guy. Like I never had Instagram, any of that. And I actually had this kid, I used to call him Kid Krondama, worked for me because I had a head shop, and he's like, bro, you need Instagram. And to me, I was like, isn't that like for 13-year-old girls or something? You know, like Twitter, you know what I mean? Like to me, I like say, you know, I'm not from that generation. So he actually hooked up an Instagram account for me. And then I started to see the, you know, the community through it, and the you know, the connections through it, and this and that. And then all of a sudden, working with Subcool was a big
Yeah.
part of it too, because a lot of people were like, who's this Jinxproof dude just like straight kicking it with Sub? Because Sub was a very private man. Like, he didn't like have people at his house or things like that. And here I am sitting on his back deck with them. So,
that must have been so fucking dope though. Like,
I mean, we were good friends for about 12 years before he passed, and so it was strange for me, because then my social media started to blow up, especially after the hammer, and then, like, people would recognize me or ask me for pictures. And it was just really strange. So it took me a minute to get used to, but I embrace it, appreciate it. And, it's the way of the world now. So it's been a funny ride. Like I said, some of you younger guys grew up with social media, where for me, it was just so strange. And, such a, my first cell phone was a pager.
That's
we had no camera, So and coming from the generation of super secret, what I mean? Like, like when I was a kid, like we wouldn't even take a picture of weed. Cause how are you going to get those pictures developed? You got to go to the store, get them developed, and they see how I don't think so. You know what I mean? So
I feel blessed to be able to be within that generation. Like, I didn't have a pager myself, but I grew up around pagers, like my family, my moms, my pops, my uncles, all of them, they had pagers and shit like that. And then just like what you were saying, my mom used to take me all the time to go and get film developed, man. Like, there was no cell phone camera and shit like that. Like, I had a little disposable camera that my mom would buy for me. It would take 20 shots. You can get 20 pictures, and then you go and get that shit developed and see how it looks. Right? You figure it out afterwards. There's no let me take a selfie, see how it looks. Okay, I don't like my hair. Let me just fix that and do another one. None of that stuff, man.
It's a different generation, and technology comes so quick nowadays. When I was a kid, technology was slow. And like going from the rotary phone, which my dad had, to the push button phone, like that was major. Now something new comes out on a phone every day. What I mean? Some kind of app or some kind of this. So it's definitely generation technology, but I do what I can. I'm not super into it. Like we were having a hard time getting on the show at first, and you were sending me all this shit. I was like, bro, I don't even know how to do that. You're like talking about pasting and copying.
It's true. I was like, copy and paste this link, and he's like, dude, I don't even know where to begin with that copy and paste, man. But
I have an older son. Normally I'd be like, hey, come here. Like he'd come do it, but he ain't here. So
true. And he definitely would not know what the pager is, because I've seen some people drop in the comments, only the dealers had pagers. I had a pager, doggy.
I'm glad.
Like a lot of people had the pagers, man. That is awesome.
Like you're showing that picture, like we're talking about technology. Like I had like what was considered like a cool pager, because my numbers came out the top, but my pager was see-through blue.
Damn, one of the fly ones.
That was some shit back then,
that was one of the fly ones, man.
You had to constantly pull over your car and like go to a payphone, like, what's up? Who's this?
Why are you paging me for?
Back then only like doctors and rich people had cell phones. When I got my first cell phone finally, like the bills were out of control, like like $900 cell phone bills, and like what? But then it just started blowing up to where you can have a cell phone cheaper than a home phone now.
Literally. So and Chuck says everyone always had a pocket full of change for the payphone, man. So
that's
definitely know what was up, man. But I do want to touch on the Jinxproof, not just you and what you've done so much, because you've done a lot for the community and stuff. And I do want to close off on a few different things later on in the show, but let's just get straight on to the 9-pound hammer, man, because that is what a lot of people are running right now. A lot of people know you for that, and a question which actually came from my good homie Kimball. So I'm just calling him Anthony, because I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I know him as Anthony. He says, what was the inspiration behind the name Jinxproof? And not Jinxproof, my bad. Then what was the inspiration behind, calling the strain the 9-pound hammer? So that's something that like I found was crazy. When I heard that name, it straight sounded like it was going to put me down. So what was the inspiration behind that name, man?
Well, the hardest, I've created 200 strains, and one of the hardest things is coming up with a name that you like, that you hope the community is going to like, grab a little attention. And then the third part is finding a name that somebody hasn't already used. Like me and Rose go back and forth about names, because we're always trying to, we're always creating new strains. And we like total different things. Like she'll say something, I'll be like, that's so stupid. And I'll say something that's like, we ain't naming a strain that. But and then when we do come up with something we're willing to use, the first thing we do is Google it with the words cannabis strain.
Yeah.
And like 9 times out of 10, it comes up. It's like, damn it, somebody's already got that name. Whether it's a little teeny breeder you never heard of or somebody mega, it's still not cool to steal their name. You know what I mean? Even if somebody, you know, if they did it, they did it. So there's an old school country song, like it is totally old school. You maybe have heard it, but it's about the dude John Henry when they were laying down the railroad tracks in America, and they were starting to use like steam trains, and you know people were losing their jobs when this guy John Henry decided to race the big railroad companies in laying tracks. And you know you drive a spike when you lay a track, and he swung a 9-pound hammer so he could sink those spikes real easy, you know.
Okay.
And 9-pound hammer is a very heavy strain. It's super couch lock, like, you know, it'll hit you like a 9-pound hammer. So as soon as I thought of that, I was like, oh man, that's the perfect name for that strain. And you know, to this day, I'm so glad we used it because it totally is. So you can YouTube it or Google it, like the strain 9-pound or the song 9-pound hammer and John Henry and his 9-pound hammer, and you know, so
that is crazy cool to find that out, man. That inspiration is awesome, man. I would have never guessed that. Like I literally just thought that it's because it's so hard, man. That shit gonna hit you over the head like a hammer and put you down, you know?
Yeah, a 9-pound hammer is a real thing. It's a sledgehammer, you know. Sledgehammers come in different weight, and one of the bigger ones is a 9-pound hammer, you know. So like you hit a railroad spike, it's going in. Right? Yeah,
it's going in. It ain't going nowhere else but in. Man, that is pretty awesome. And what I did also want to ask you is that, you know, you were the cup winner with that 9-pound hammer, right? So tell us a little bit about that, dude.
It was the Michigan Cup.
Fire.
God, it's been a little while now. I honestly can't even remember what year it was. I honestly, like when I go to shows, I don't do the award ceremonies because they take so long and they're so drawn out, and some of them are even a little suspicious, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like who wins and stuff. So I really don't care. But we were at a booth in Michigan. We had a booth there, the High Times Cup, and people kept walking by and going, "Congratulations, Jinx." I was like, I didn't even know what they're talking about because my buddy actually entered it for us. I didn't even enter it, you know. So he entered it for us. And I was like, what are they talking about? And then some dude comes up to the booth and he's got like a trophy and all this. I wasn't even there when they announced it. You know? So,
damn, bro.
You know, it was awesome. You know, I mean, it was, you know, I mean, there's a lot of cups that are teeny weeny cups that, you know, maybe only 10 people even entered, but there was 300 entries, you know, it's first place, best indica. So obviously it was a pretty cool thing. You know, it was pretty exciting. And, you know, the fact that it was kind of a surprise made it even cooler. You know, like I said, I wasn't standing there in the crowd going, "Oh, I hope I win." I didn't even think about it. So
no, I like that, man. I like that a lot, man. And honestly, like Michigan has a lot of growers. Like I've had so many growers onto the show who, you know, live out of Michigan, grow out of Michigan, or just, you know, rep Michigan hard. Like people in the chat right now. Shout out my homie KJ all day, man. I remember your OG name, bro. But yeah, he's in the chat, man. So honestly, congrats on that, bro. Like that is fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah.
Like
so,
also, man, how many people, you know, do come up to you and they're just like, you know, Joe, Jinxproof, like that 9-pound hammer, man. Like, and how does it feel to, you know, have a strain that, you know, kind of you're tied to? Because like a lot of people out here who are, you know, whether they're small time breeders, big time breeders, pollen chuckers, whatever you guys want to call them, even though I don't like that word at all. I consider it pretty disrespectful. But you know, there are a lot of people out here, whether they would love to have a strain that they can call their own, you know, something like that. And I think that's amazing. So how does that feel to, you know, have that, like people know you for that one strain, dude?
It's pretty cool. You know, it's a lot of fun. It's a
I can imagine
it's funny because like say, you know, getting a little up there and, you know, recognized, you know, I don't like the word famous or anything like that, but being fairly popular or whatever, you know, it's funny sometimes because like sometimes people will recognize me and they'll start talking about the 9-pound hammer and I'll be somewhere where I'm like, bro, like, shut up. Like, I'll be in the line at the post office mailing a bunch of seeds, and dude's like, bro,
like, yo, that 9-pound hammer I got from you, man. I was growing that, and I got some fire flower, bro. Like, it's so dang, dude. Like, chill, bro, chill.
Totally. It's like, dude. So it's but it's pretty cool, yeah. And it's, to this day it still goes, it's been 12 years, I think, or something like that. It's still going strong. It's still always in the top 3 as far as, sales and stuff like that of which my strains are still killing it and stuff. So it hasn't taken a back seat yet. People still love it, and it's quite an honor, to have the community embrace it like that, because it wasn't really something I set out to do. It was just something I did just randomly. I used to be Subcool's distributor.
Oh,
So
shit, okay.
when it became medical here, all these stores opened up in Seattle, and I was Sub's re-wholesaler. So I actually just randomly sent him an email. He actually called me back. I didn't think he would. I didn't know him at the time, and he's like, "Well, here's how I do it. You have to pay for your seeds up front. I don't just send a stranger seeds." So I was like, "Well, dude, I crop in like 3 days. It'll take me, a certain amount of time to dry it and sell it." And then I placed my order and started cruising around, and it was going pretty good. And then the sales of weed just dumped because all of a sudden we had all these stores everywhere. It was still medical, not recreational, but it's so easy to get a card. You just walk in, somewhere like, "I can't sleep," and they give you a card. You give them $60. So like the price of weed it wasn't even worth growing anymore. So since I was doing this thing with Sub, and I'd done a few little breedings with friends just for fun, like just painting one little bud and getting like a handful of seeds, which is where the mother of the 9-pound hammer Gooberry came from. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a breeding. And so I did, and I did a pretty good size breeding, like 20 plants or something. Okay. And then when I would go on sales for Sub, I would drop off a handful of the 9-pound hammer, and I would tell the people, anybody that buys a pack of Sub seeds gets a pack of these free, as a way of getting them to buy seeds or encouraging, like, of course you'd rather have something free if you're going to buy something, or half price.
Hook them up, you buy something, you get hooked up, you get something else, man.
So I was doing that for a while. The next thing I knew, like, social media started going crazy with it, and all of a sudden these pictures of 9-pound hammer were popping up everywhere, and people doing their personal reviews and how much they loved it, and before I knew it was like a household name, so to speak. And then I decided to start distributing it, and there's a lot of confusion. People think it was originally Subcool strain. It was not. I've had a lot of people argue with me about that. I mean, I know. I mean, I always tell people, right, Miss Jill, Subcool's wife, like, she'll tell you right now, it was never his strain. It's my strain. He became my distributor as well as me becoming his distributor. It was always in a package that said, there they are right there. It was always in a package that said Subcool. Jinxproof. I did put Sub's name on it. It said Subcool's Jinxproof. Repping because I was part of the crew, but it didn't say Subcool's 9-pound hammer, totally different packaging, blah, blah, blah. So there's still to this day, I'll get people like, "Wasn't that Sub strain?" It's like, oh God, here we go again. Sub himself got online and was like, "Oh yeah, Jinx hit it out of the park with the 9-pound hammer," and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of how I got it out there, was just giving it away.
Man, that is awesome, bro. And just hearing your passion behind it even now, that is amazing. And I just want to say shout out to Subcool. For all those who don't know, he's up on screen now, real pioneer in the industry. A lot of you guys definitely, if you don't know, do some research, man. And you'll find out how many
he was the real OG. He was the real OG. He was the first guy to get on forums and teach people how to grow weed for free. You know what I mean?
Even with those shades that you're talking about, just barely cover those eyes, bro.
No, we had a lot of fun because Sub appreciated my smart assness and my, like I say, I'm always cracking jokes. That's totally me and my crew, like me and my best friends. A lot of people see D-Range on Instagram with me, and we call it verbal kung fu. We're always fucking with each other.
A little bit of back and forth, a little bit of banter.
Yeah, if you can't handle some jokes, like, you will never survive with my crew.
I like that, man. You guys are part of the Jinxproof crew. I can only imagine what the other guys are doing if you're opening the toilet bowl for me, and that's the first time we met. I love it, though. I love it, man.
But that's nice because everybody walks away with a smile, and even the people that just saw it, it should be fun. You paid a bunch of money to get into this thing, and I always trip because I've made some pretty good other seed breeder friends, guys that own other companies, blah blah blah. But like some of the seed companies, like, they're weird. Like, you go up to their booth and they're all,
Yeah, they
You know, like act
I
real
know
bad and
exactly
like,
what they got
you
that
know,
look.
I mean,
They
I'm
hit you.
not,
They
I'm
hit
not
you
going
with
to
a hook.
call anybody out or anything like that, but I'm just like, what's up with that? We were looking at this one seed company and I was like, bro, they look like they're posing for a heavy metal album. You know, like the back, like, you know, the
Yeah,
old school heavy metal where they're all fucking bad. It's just like,
we can do it
I
all
don't get
together,
that.
bro.
Yeah, it's just not my nature. I love to be nice to people and have fun with people and, you know, and find their funny bone or, you know, whatever. It should be, you know, because we got to sit in that booth for a long time too. So we might as well have some fun, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And,
It's true, man. Like you always do
you know,
got that positivity, which is what Lori says right now. Your positivity is much appreciated, and I do like that. I do notice, and I do, as you say it now, like it's something that stands out to me, bro. Because like when I do go to some of these events, there are those breeders at the booths just standing up, like like they're bigger than life. These are my
it's not
genetics. You
that's
better look
silly.
through my menu and see what you want to buy, and if not, then get out of here, bro.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
and what I noticed was different with you is that your own felt so welcoming, bro. It was like welcoming. It was radiating positive, good vibes and stuff like that. And
yeah.
like it made me feel to want to come and support, that kind of way.
Oh,
And
thanks.
I think that's just the difference, right? So your personality goes a long way. So thank you for your personality, man. Like I
Absolutely,
wouldn't
man.
change that for the world, bro.
Yeah, I mean, not I'm changing the world, but yeah, it's a huge part of who we are. You know, same thing. Miss Rose hasn't been as many shows as she used to go with me because life is busy and our son's getting
Yeah,
older. But she's the same way. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
she's so welcoming, and the lady side of the cannabis community really embrace her. And tons of them come up to the booth like, "Where's Miss Rose? Where's Miss Rose?" And like, well, unfortunately, she's at home. And
Yeah.
hold on one second. Hey, Rose.
Miss Rose
Hey,
is on the
Rose.
scene, fam. How crazy is that? I like that.
I need a phone charger. My phone's going dead,
Oh,
so I'm trying to get Rose to bring
going
me a
for that
phone.
phone
So
charger, guys. The real MVP is on the scene. Now, guys, we got over 320 people tuned in. So, guys, hit that like. We got to have over 320 likes. If you guys don't hit that like, we're going to have some problems. Now, I did want to bring to your attention, Jinxproof, that we have a poll running right now in the chat asking people if they've ever heard of the 9-pound hammer strain, right? We've got over
hold on
almost
a
300
second.
votes.
Let me give you a real quick count. Can you say hi? Hi. Say hi,
Oh,
family. Hi, baby.
hey, we got some
Gibson
love in
Jr.
the house. I love that, man. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that's
Family's
my life
everything.
right there. That's
Family's
my life.
everything, man. Big facts. And I've seen that drop in the chat. And, and a lot of people have actually dropped that. You're so amazing with your family and your son. And it's just awesome, man. That is amazing, brother. I'm seeing all the points coming in for Subcool as well. RIP, rest in power. Big ups to Subcool as well, fam. But what I was just saying is that we got a poll running right now in the chat, and we've asked, have everyone ever heard of the 9-pound hammer strain? We got almost 300 votes, and 64% of people said, "Heck yeah, it's hammer time, baby!" But
Nice.
only 36 said they haven't. Tell me
Yeah.
more. Right. So for those people, and I seen a question in the chat which came in, he probably missed it. You didn't miss it. Crop, chop, and grow. I like that name. But he says, what are the terps like on this girl? So for everyone who hasn't actually grown it, what can they expect in terms of look and the nose and taste?
That's a tough one with the hammer because usually when you grow a strain, they're anywhere from 3 to 5 phenos, and certain phenos will stand out and get a name. Like with Subs Chernobyl, there was the dead body, there was the slime, so there's certain ones that stick out. The way the genes line up, you can technically end up with 16 phenos, which is pretty unusual. But I swear 9-pound hammer is one of them. Because, as time went on and I kept hearing different things and seeing different pictures.
Yeah.
There's one that's just lime green, and it definitely leans on the Jesus OG side. Then there's another one that's just super purple, short, fat, cushy, and that's definitely the blueberry there. I had one guy, actually, I've seen it twice now, one guy sent me pictures, and it was a black pheno. Like the leaves were black, like that. Not like black. I mean, they were black. And then when I was working with a farm for a minute in Oklahoma, and they had found the black pheno as well. Unfortunately, they let their farm get infested by bugs and it was killed. So, but because it's super hard to find, but anywhere from that earthy OG to straight up like berries, like Jolly Rancher berries, and everywhere in between. It's such a it's
That
got
is
so many
awesome.
females. I
That I
like that
think that is
personally.
crazy awesome because like a lot of people like love that hunt, and that's something I've been finding a lot of people have been doing lately. They've been popping tons of beans. They buy a pack, they pop the whole thing, and they look for that
Mhm.
that really appeals to them, and being able to have
Yeah,
just a little bit of that variety, where everything is not bang bang bang. It appeals to more
yeah,
people, and I think that's crazy cool.
yeah. I enjoy it. Like personally, I like to mix it up. Like I can't smoke the same weed every day. You know what I mean? Like
True.
I'll smoke weed like after a day or two that might even be less flavor and less chronic,
Yeah.
just because like I get immune to one weed. You know what I mean? I'll smoke weed that's not even as strong and feel more high or feel more, elevated or whatever, just because it's something different. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people have seen on my Instagram, I have this thing called the random nug jar. I just grow a handful of everything we grow and I throw it in there. And sometimes a lot of times I don't even know what it is, but I like, it's just a way of mixing up the highs. And I also like the way they all kind of marry with each other, like
Yeah.
with the flavors and the smells, they all kind of, exchange their little gases and do their thing.
Man,
So,
crazy that
you
you
know,
say that because I can't tell you the last time I rolled a J straight with only one strain, man. Like I always mix my strains. I
uh-huh,
can't tell you the last time. Like
uh-huh.
why? And like I was thinking that just the other day. Like why would I do that? Like if I got multiple strains, I'm gonna mix that bad boy. I'm gonna make a cocktail. There's a
But
lot of other words that people call it, man. But I'm gonna mix that
yeah,
shit up.
I don't mix them usually when I'm smoking them.
Oh,
Like
I
I
mix them.
reach in the random, I call it the random nug jar. I put it on my Instagram a lot, and I'll take a picture and I'll say time to select a nug from the random nug jar, nug du
Okay, I
jour.
feel you.
So I pick out a nug, and that's the nug of the day. Like I'll
Oh,
smoke
I
that
feel
for the
you.
day, and then tomorrow I'll pick out another random nug, and we'll do that kind of thing. So I
I
don't
feel
actually
you.
like crush them up and put them together or nothing like that.
Okay, I
But
got you. Yeah, I
because
mix them all up and stuff like that.
sometimes people ask me like, "What nug is that?" And I'm like, I have my suspicions, but I'm not totally sure, especially all being in the jar like that together, because they
Yeah.
kind of flavor up each other too, like say exchange flavors and smells and so it's just something I've always done and enjoy doing. And I've had a lot of people send me messages like, bro, I got my own random nug jar going now. And
I like that. I like that, guys. You guys got to keep a nug jar. Hit that like if you guys like that idea, because I think I'm gonna take that idea and make it my own. I got an empty jar just right down there, bro. That's gonna be the new jar. And shout out to Ross as well, man. He says he smoked the 9 pound hammer while a band was playing 9 pound hammer at a
oh,
boot camp
nice,
festival.
nice.
And I actually
Yeah.
met Ross, so shout out to Ross. He's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a band called 9 Pound Hammer. There's a couple 9 Pound Hammer bars like across America. So it's,
Bro.
there's other people have thought the name was cool too. Not that they saw my strain and thought it, but just in general, they've heard that. I'm like, that'd be a good name for this, or that'd be a good name for that, So
Yeah, that's
pretty
what's up,
funny.
man. That is pretty freaking crazy, and it's honestly pretty dope because I fuck with the name a lot. I like it, you know. But other than that, man, I did want to ask, like the 9 pound hammer, like you mentioned that the nose can go from anywhere from like floral, but does it also go like all the way to gassy as well, or is it like just solely floral?
There's no, like say there's on the Jesus OG side, there's definitely some gas, some
Okay,
fuel. There's also that
I
kind of
love that gas.
the old school earthy OG kind of stuff. If you get one that's more on the gooberry side, there's a lot of Afghani and Afgooey, which created the Afgooberry, which would be more that there's some that are kind of cushy, also kind of earthy, but then there's like more like fruity terps, especially when the berries come in. That's why I call it the Afgooberry, because there's
Yeah,
one that's like the hardcore like Afgooberry dominant. Like I would smoke that if it didn't get you high, because
I got you.
it's just like smoking a Jolly Rancher or something. It's just so like like it's just like blowing out berries. It's a trip, and like I say everywhere and in between too,
Yeah.
So
I got you, man. 100%. That is dope. And like, we got people in the chat saying they smoked about 9 years ago from now. So that means it's been around for a long time, guys. We ain't talking no
yeah, it's been a
newcoming
minute.
strain. It's one of those long time strains. You can
Oh, man.
consider it an OG strain. It's out there
Yeah,
almost a decade. Well, longer than that,
Oh,
actually. I think.
it's probably been about 12 years now.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. It's actually longer than that, you know. So, but shout out to Despicable Dabs, man. He's thank you for that donation, that super chat. He's asking, can we ask Jinx questions? You can drop those questions in, man, and we can see if we can get those answered. But I had a great one which actually came in from my brother Dan Owen. I think this is the perfect way to start off the Know Your Bud segment, which is like a segment I just like to call the Know Your Bud segment because everyone that comes onto the show is my bud, and I like to find out what you do with your buds. So I'm just gonna hit you a few questions, no right or wrong answer. It's almost like multiple choice back in school, you know. So
Sure.
you said you didn't enjoy your school days too much, but this one will be
No.
easy. I promise you, brother. I promise you. you can pass this with flying colors. So all I'm gonna do is throw out a few questions, and you just tell me what's your preference, right? But I'm gonna start off with my homie Dan O. This is just a straight up question, right? So he's asking, what is your favorite strain? What is it?
Man,
It's a hard one, bro. That's
it
a
would
hard
definitely be an indica. I definitely lean towards the Afghanis. I can't say that I have a favorite strain. There's definitely a category. Like say definitely the
one. Like
Afghanis.
a catalog,
The,
like my man's
the
got a book.
yeah, the old school Afghooey, you know, which
Yeah.
that heavy Afghan. Of course, the old school skunk, and we used to get like the real cat piss around here, like the true, like you open it up and it smells like a cat pissed on a carpet, you know, like the, you know. So I actually bred it once, you know. Yeah, I always say it's kind of funny. It's funny because there's smells in real life that we can't stand, but we like in weed. Like if I
It's
went to
true.
your house and your house smelled like cat piss because you weren't cleaning up after your cats, I'd be like, bro,
I
you
gotta
know.
get out of
But
here,
if,
man. What am
but
I
if
doing?
but if you opened up a sack and it smelled like cat piss, I'd be like, bro, you know.
I love this. Where'd you
You
get
know,
this,
it's
man?
same thing with a skunk. You ever smell the real skunk? It's pretty
Yeah.
bad,
No, I haven't. I
but you,
don't even want to. I've seen that on
oh,
cartoons.
it's terrible. But real true skunk smells like a damn skunk. But man, it smells so good, you know, because it's weed. So it's kind of funny how that works out. But probably more old school stuff, you know, like say that the Afghanis, the Afghouis, skunk, cat piss. It always changes for me. I can't, nothing like popped into my head instantly like the best. You know, it's you know, it's kind of like food. Like you know, I don't want to eat chicken every day. You know,
Yeah,
so
I feel you
it
on that.
always kind of changes for me. But those are definitely in the top categories. I definitely
Yeah,
like some heavy fruits. You know, it's kind of my thing. But
yeah, I feel you on
you
that
know.
one, man. Okay, okay. The next one though is dry trim or wet trim. So when you're trimming your flower, a lot of people say this is the most important step, right? So are you a wet trimmer or a dry trimmer?
Uh, it depends. If I'm doing seeds, I wet trim. You know, I just and it's a quick
Yeah,
trim. And the
I
only
got
reason I even trim my seeded plants is, you know, once the way I get the seeds out of the bud is I let the buds dry, like drier than you would let them dry. You know,
yeah,
like to where I can just go and it like turns into powder. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because it makes it a lot easier to get the seeds out. You know,
Yeah,
like
makes
you ever
sense.
I don't know if you ever seen the old school, like when somebody rolls a joint and they put the weed on an album and they start
Yeah,
raking through it so all the seeds roll down the album. You know, I
yeah,
do
I know
that but
exactly what you're talking about.
I do that, but like on a big ass board, you know, because it's a lot of weed, you know, for a
Massive.
full
Makes
plant.
sense.
So, but I do trim it and I wet trim it just because I just do. I don't really have a reason, but I trim my seeded plants because I want to make bubble hash out of them later, and I don't want all them sun leaves and extra leaves in there turning my hash green or getting that chlorophyll flavor. You know what I mean?
True.
So, but as far as smoke, like man, I've done both. I
Yeah,
don't know. I think it just kind of depends what's going on at the time and what stage of life I was in. My first few crops were definitely dry trim, you know, and I don't know. I get allergies gnarly from weed when I'm trimming, so wet trim works out better for me. Like I'll be sneezing, my nose will get all ready, the rose will come down, make me take an allergy pill. Like you know, the whole trimming part really gets me. So,
yeah.
but
I got my
I don't
homie
know.
Hot Rod, man. He actually can't like I think it's something like he can't touch weed, or like it causes something reaction with his skin or something like that. So
Mhm.
whenever he has to touch the flower, he always puts on gloves. Like homie came over to the studio
Uh,
and threw on some gloves and started rolling one up, and I was like, wow, bro, like a lot of
uh,
people just react in different ways, and I
yeah,
think that's a great thing.
when I pollinate a crop, because you let your male get all big and it starts
Yeah,
dropping pollen, and you take it in there, and the best way to do it is to turn on a fan, pick that fucker up over all of them, and just shake the shit out of it. So
yeah,
pollen gets everywhere because you want to pollinate everything,
yeah, true.
And I have to go straight from there to a hot shower because my throat will start to close up. It's
Uh,
pollen, it's not weed.
it
My
is.
eyes will be like you could just itch them out of your damn head. Your nose will be like
Yeah,
if
people are actually
I
allergic to
literally go
pollen,
straight
like
from the pollen
yeah,
to the
they'll
hot shower,
sneeze and
you
all
know.
that shit.
And even
Yeah,
then, I'll be sneezing all night, and my throat will be a
exactly.
little scratchy. It's pretty gnarly, Like I've put like little mask on or wrapped a shirt around my face, but it still gets me. Like I'm pretty heavily tattooed, and like anywhere I have tattoos with thick lines,
Yeah,
like a lot of old school shit, all those lines will rise up because technically, under tattoo is scar tissue. So
yeah, it's
anywhere I have a
crazy.
scar, the scar will rise up. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
I
so,
know
all the
exactly what
lines
you
of
mean. I
my
got a few
tattoos
tattoos
will be
myself.
standing up. Yeah,
I
it
never
gets me
thought of that
good.
though. That's
Uh,
intense, man. And you got to
it
do like
is.
a lot of that, man. So you got to take precautions. Damn.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about the Know Your Bud segment, guys. We learned so many things about our guests, So we definitely hit that like and show some love. Now, the next question, man, is you're gonna blaze up. What you gonna grab? You grabbing a bong or you grabbing a joint?
Oh, strictly bongs.
Okay, I like that. Strictly bongs.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I'm a glass blower, and what
I
I
did see
make
that. Big
and
up.
made. I used to blow glass for a living, like
Yeah,
period, like all day, every day, and that's what I made. I made bongs. I didn't fuck with hand pipes. It's a whole. There are two. Like when you make hand pipes, I don't know if you ever seen it. Like, dude will have a piece of glass hooked to like a little skinny tube that he's blowing in,
yeah,
and we usually call that lamp work because it
yeah,
comes from making lamps, lamp working. But I actually work on a
yeah.
lathe, glass lathe, which is totally. I've posted some videos lately. I don't know if you've seen them on my Instagram, me making a bong, but I'm all about that water. Yeah, there you go. Um,
This is crazy, dude. Like
you
this is
know,
I seen this. I
it's
was like, man, you actually are blowing that glass to make your
yeah,
glass.
I'm making a bong right there. Yeah. So,
That
but see,
is
that's a
dope.
lathe. That's a lot different. Like I said, most people have never even. I like showing the lathe on the videos because most people have never even seen a glass lathe or have the faintest idea how it's done. And a glass lathe is not cheap. It's not like a wood lathe or a steel lathe. It's very technical. Everything has to move in perfect harmony. Both see how you see that end spinning, the other
Yeah,
end is spinning. They have to be in perfect harmony, or once that glass gets hot, it'll just twist up. So
yeah.
it's there. I paid a lot of money for that. I used to have a
That's crazy.
1948 Harley Davidson panhead, and I had to sell my panhead to get that lathe,
Yeah,
because I didn't have $14,000 just sitting around,
yeah.
So and
I
right
got
there,
you.
like right there, I'm putting little dots on it with a hot piece of glass, and but yeah, so I'm all about the bongs though. It's got to go through water. Like I always joke, like you hand me a joint, I'll stick it in the tip of my bong and just kill it. But
Quickly, real quick.
lately I've been hitting the vape pen more.
Yeah,
It's not my choice, but a lot of folks, my followers stuff, know I had a pretty massive heart attack, and it's funny because my doctor knows who I am, and after my heart attack and my heart surgery and all this, he's like, blah blah blah, do this, do that, and I don't want you smoking. And I said, I don't smoke because I've never smoked. As far as cigarettes, like I smoked once when I was a little kid, barfed my guts out, and I was cool. Like, I've never been a smoker. So I look and say, I don't smoke. And he looks at me and says, I don't want you smoking anything. Like, he's like, I know who you are and what you do, So I've been
yeah.
taking it easy on the smoking. I do still smoke, but a lot less. So I've switched to the vape pen and the oils and stuff. So it actually isn't my choice though. I'd rather hit the bong all day. But any smoke is bad for your heart, whether it's from a campfire or a
True.
cigarette or weed, and I got to be careful. I'm a dad now, so I can't, when I was younger, I had a pretty reckless life and really didn't give a fuck, you know what I mean? But especially being a dad and a husband, a dad of a special needs child, like, I need to be alive as long as possible. So I've been
Absolutely.
taking it easy. I do still smoke, but I take it easy and
Okay, so you
mix it up.
take it easy now, right? So do you, if you
Yeah,
had, if you had,
I still indulge, but when I indulge more on the vape pen because it's not as hard on your heart as taking
true,
giant smoky bong hits, you know. So,
yeah,
which
it's
isn't by
vape
choice,
more or
but you
less.
know,
Okay, so if you had to pick one, right? You're gonna wake or bake, or you doing a nightcap?
if I had to pick, man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a toughie. We only
Well,
bring
see,
out the toughies, bro.
things change in life because some time ago I probably would say wake and bake, but
Okay.
since I started having seizures and had that brain surgery, I think I mentioned to you I had brain surgery a few years ago as well as heart surgery.
Wow.
After having brain surgery, it was really hard to sleep. So now I would say bedtime because it helps me sleep. Like they give
Gotcha.
me medicine and all this crap, but I'd rather not take it. But I take a couple fat puffs off that pin with some hash oil and I pass out pretty good. But if I don't, I can't sleep at all. So if I had
Gotcha.
to pick now, I would say bedtime. If I had to pick
Okay.
10 years ago or before any of this crap happened, I probably would have said wake and bake, because
Interesting.
I was straight up, I get out of bed, go to my chair and start puffing it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like three fat fucking bong hits, like I can
Fat
rip them,
ones.
My friends are always like, check it out, watch them take a bong hit.
Yeah.
Take a nugget like that, just rip it down in one hit, so. But
Yeah.
like I say, life changes and things change, and some things become more important than others.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And that's something I did want to just, touch on a little bit because, you do a lot of autism awareness. A lot of people have actually dropped that in the chat. They're really grateful for all that you do for, the autism advocacy and stuff like that. So, I just wanted to say thank you for that, and, my
absolutely,
wife's mom's works with a lot of autistic kids and stuff like that. So that's really big that, you're just sort of
mhm.
helping out in that sense, man. Big respect.
Yeah. Well, it's a two-way street because I feel the same towards the community.
Yeah.
Like when a lot of kids aren't born autistic; they become autistic. My son was not born autistic; he became autistic at about 3, and after going through what we went through, there's the whole like mourning phase of oh my God, like this is fucking happening. And once I got over that, it's, feeling the way we felt so alone, like nobody cared, like no, I was like, you know what, I want to help other kids aside from my kid.
Yeah.
And Rose and I, we owned a couple stores and stuff, and we would try to hit up other stores and even businesses to help us help kids. We're a legal 501c3. We're all registered. We have an account, every penny, but we couldn't scrape up a fucking, excuse my French, we couldn't scrape up a dime. It was
Yeah.
so hard. And it was just so disheartening. And then when I started getting traction in the cannabis community, especially social media,
Yeah.
total opposite. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people send me things to auction off, whether it's some kind of cool vape pen or a LED light or something. And then,
Yeah.
we start auctioning these things off, and we've, raised over $150,000 for autistic kids. Every single penny goes to them. Our main thing is we buy iPads with an app that's all pictures. And if they push
Sweet.
that picture, the iPad will say it. It's called
Yeah.
Prolo Quote to Go. So
Okay.
like they can like push a button and say Apple, but they can also take a picture. Like Junior could take a picture of me, push the button will say Daddy, and autistic kids tend to mimic. So
Yeah.
my son says a lot of the stuff. Like he used to come up to me with his iPad and he'd push the button and said chicken nuggets. Well, after a while, he would come up to me and say chicken nuggets, because he still don't talk, but he says certain things like words and stuff. And
Yeah.
if you've never heard your child talk and he walks up and asks for chicken nugget, it's just like it's mind
Mind
blowing.
blowing. Yeah, I was about to
It's like,
say that would be
it's like
mind
there's
blowing. That'd be
hope.
crazy. Yeah.
It is, and it's I love it. I like if the gods came down right now, we're like, you can help kids for and still survive. I don't want to say for a living, but or you can only grow weed. I would help kids because I love it, man. It's so fun, and a lot of times we mail a lot, but a lot of times we get to meet the people too. Like we'll hand deliver the iPads and
Yeah.
get
That's
some big
awesome.
hugs. And
That is
it's
awesome.
I always tell people be careful getting involved because it's crack for the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's
nothing
just
replaces that feel good
oh
factor.
God. Yeah, and we help other kids. It's not just autistic. We've helped some kids with some pretty serious disabilities. I mean, I'll help a kid. We just go under the word autism. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
gotcha.
I'm one of the I love kids, and I'm one of those kids that kids are always attracted to me. Like Junior goes to MMA 3 times a week,
Yeah,
and on the side of the MMA class is an adult exercise class. And all of their kids, as soon as I get there, like come hang out with me on the bleachers. It's just like, it's just one of those things. Like kids like me, and I love kids, so we have all kind of fun. And so to be
yeah,
able to help some kids aside from just playing with them and stuff is it's pretty damn rewarding, and I love it. So and like I said, I remember what it was like to feel like nobody cared, because it
yeah.
was, like so
As
many
Tim
people,
Turk says too, the kids are the future, so you got to look out for them, and that's the next
yeah,
generation, man. But you
yeah,
know, I just wanted to say, congrats to you on that, because you're doing a lot, and big ups to you and much respect, man. That I think that's
thanks.
awesome. Also, shout out to Untrained Astronaut in the chat right now. I met him out at MJ Biz, really great guy. He's doing some great stuff, and thanks for that donation, brother. Much love. Now, before we actually close off, man, a lot of people in here have been asking about, some of the testers and stuff like that. You mentioned like back in the day, you used to hook people up with, those packs and stuff like that. So I got a question which came in from my homie Daniel Eriks. He's like, how do we sign up to test? Like if you got a tester program running, how does one sign up to become a tester?
Well, we used to have one on Discord, but Discord killed our channel because it's cannabis related. Like my
Okay.
channel's still there, but there's nothing on it. They wiped out all our servers and pages. The testing thing, actually, Miss Rose runs that.
Okay.
So if you go to my Instagram, I have a link tree that'll take you straight to her page.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's Miss Rose I am on Instagram, and there's no guarantee. You can write her, you can ask her. She sends you a page of what we expect,
Yeah.
like this is what we want. And if you fulfill those agreements, then at the end of it, you get 2 free packs of seeds. And plus you get that strain before anybody else has even had it. You know what I mean? You get to
No.
jump on something,
Yeah.
but it doesn't, just because you apply for it doesn't mean you're going to get it. Most testers, not all, but most testers suck. They get their pack of seeds, and you never hear from them again. You never get a write up. You never get pictures. So, also a thing, Miss Rose won't tell you what you're growing until you've completed the test grow.
Yeah.
So if you don't fulfill the agreement you made, as far she wants to know, was there any problems? Was it stable? She has a little list of questions she sends you. She wants
Simple stuff,
some
man. Like
some nice
you can't
pictures
be
when
that
it's
hard,
done.
guys.
She wants some pictures. It's not when it's done. She wants a smoke report, and if you fulfill that, and we even want, like, if a strain herms out, we want to hear about it because we don't want to release that strain. So
Exactly.
negative or
Yeah.
positive, we need and want to know about it. Most people drop off, which is is I don't want to say they're like ripping us off, but it's like, you made an agreement, you got a free pack of seeds, and you were going to pay for them by doing this,
You just
and you
never hear
didn't.
from and you just never hear from them
So
again. They're like, yeah, I got the season. I'm good. Yeah.
yeah, and it's really disheartening because I love this community and most of the people in it, so it's
Yeah.
like you say, it's not that hard, so you have to get accepted by Miss Rose. And if she doesn't accept you, doesn't mean she doesn't like you or trust you. It means she probably already has enough people test growing that, or it's just at the time we don't need test growers. So, but that's how you do it. You got to go through Miss Rose and,
Got you.
go from there. And like I say, if
Awesome.
you do, then she tells you what you grew and she gives you 2 free pack of seeds, so.
That's dope. That's dope. That's what's up, guys. So definitely see if you can get, try your luck. But I did see a few people asking in the chat, so I just figured, I'll ask you and see what
Mhm.
that looked like. But
Yeah.
I think we've touched on a lot of great things, brother. Like from finding out more about the 9-pound hammer, how the word name Jinxproof actually came about, and just touching on all the stuff that you've actually done for the community. But for everyone who wants to get in touch with you, find out what you got going on, and just see some of your great, inspirational daily morning videos when they wake up in the morning, where can they find you, bro?
The best way to find me is Instagram, Jinxproof 2.0. Like I say, they killed my other account, because of the whole cannabis thing. So that one's gone. I appealed it, tried to get it back, but that's just how it goes. So Jinxproof 2.0. As far as like the website or Miss Rose, there is a link tree in my bio that will take you straight to Miss Rose, take you straight to our website, take you straight to our charity page for the Northwest Families for Autism. There's some coupon codes in there from some of the companies we like, you know, fish shit, you know,
Yeah.
you can get a 20% discount by using the coupon code. And so that's the best way. I personally don't answer emails. Some people will send me a DM, be like, bro, I sent you an email. I'm not even allowed to touch the emails, you know, so
I feel you.
that's all
I
Miss
just got
Rose.
so many accounts that I lose track sometimes, but you just ain't allowed to touch them. So I take it Miss Rose is handling that.
Yeah, Miss Rose is such a big part of Jinxproof Genetics. I
Love
always
that.
put it like I'm the Miss Rose is the Hemi under the hood. You know,
That is what's up.
she's the one making things happen. You know, and all
yeah.
the business sides, and she does all the shipping and mailing, and which is nice because otherwise people would hate Jinxproof. You know.
I can imagine, man.
You're like, it's
I
been
feel
6
the
months
same
since
way
I
when
got
I
my
gotta
seat.
send
You know?
stuff out. It's painful. Yeah, I know the feeling, man. Like I'm on that side of stuff when I gotta send stuff out. I'm like, people are like, yo, where's my stuff? I'm like, man, but don't worry about it, man. But you know, I just
Yeah.
want to say, you know, honestly, thank you for coming on the show, brother. It was a great session hanging out
Absolutely.
with you. You know, guys, definitely check him out on Instagram. You know, Norma G's been a fantastic mod. My homie Norma G's dropping links for his Instagram all throughout the show. So you guys definitely give him a follow, show some love. And yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, you too, man. I appreciate you.
Hell yeah, man. Well, guys, don't forget, hit that like, smash it. If you don't, guys, don't smash it. It doesn't count. So hit that like. Let's see how many we can get. And most importantly, stay high and stay motherfucking fly. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Be positive.
Finish him.